Welcome to Gospel Greetings number 64. Last week we talked about problem solving from Nehemiah chapter 1, which said Nehemiah questioned them and they said, "These people are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire." When he heard these things, he sat down and wept. For some days he mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. We see Nehemiah's first three principles of problem solving here: understanding the problem, identifying with people, and petitioning God fervently. This week, we'll continue to see the remaining three principles and be reading from Nehemiah chapter 2, where it says, "I took wine and gave it to the king. The king asked me, 'Why does your face look so sad when you are not ill? This can be nothing but sadness of heart.' I was very much afraid, but I said to the king, 'May the king live forever. Why should my face not look sad when the city where my ancestors are buried lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire?' The king said to me, 'What is it you want?' Then I prayed to the God of heaven and I answered the king." The fourth principle we see is that Nehemiah waited for the best opportunity to act. Timing was critical. It had been about 4 months since he had heard this report, and he had been petitioning God fervently and planning exactly what he would ask the king for. Then, when the king asked why his face was sad, Nehemiah was prepared to give a detailed request of all he needed. A very bold move indeed, keeping in mind that being sad before the king was grounds for execution. He took a huge risk. But notice that even before he replied to the king, he prayed to the God of heaven in verse 4. You see, though his timing was perfect, he didn't speak before praying. The fifth principle is he quietly did his homework. We see in chapter 2, as it goes on, that Nehemiah, when he arrives in Jerusalem, does an interesting thing. When he gets there, he gets on a horse at night and rides around the walls to survey the situation. He doesn't come in with trumpets and fanfare saying, "Your deliverer is here." No, he carefully studied the crumbling wall, like a doctor carefully studying a broken bone before attempting to set it. Then and only then did he formulate his plan. How often do we announce plans, have a strategy or a course of action, and then realize we hadn't done our homework and had to completely redo it? The sixth and final principle is Nehemiah assembled and encouraged his team. Once he had assessed the situation and had a plan, Nehemiah recognized that the problem and its solution was a communal concern. It affected everyone in the city. So in chapter 2, verse 17, his rallying cry was, "Let us rebuild the wall." Once he had described the game plan to them in verse 18, he encouraged the long-suffering crowd by ensuring them that the gracious hand of their God was upon them. While the plan was ambitious, Nehemiah reminded the people that just as God had been with him when he petitioned the king, God would now be with them as they rebuilt. And that same God that gave Nehemiah and the people success in rebuilding the wall will too give you success in solving complex and difficult problems. He's with you also and will be with you to the end. So we see from this week that we need to wait for the right timing, do your homework, and assemble and encourage the team. Next week, we'll look at how Nehemiah overcame obstacles in his problem solving.